Hello, grade 12, and welcome to your very first lesson in Practical Research 2, and this is called Into the World of Quantitative Data. Now, I know for a fact that you just came from your qualitative research from last term, so this is going to be a transitional lesson, okay? A transition because you came from words. This time we are going to numbers. Of course, it could actually drive me nuts to talk about numbers, but let's try to appreciate the beauty of quantitative data. Okay, so without further ado, let us first differentiate what you had from to what we will have for this semester. So we will differentiate qualitative versus quantitative research because these two are actually approaches to research. One is not really better than the other. Instead, they're two different things. And so we will first explore how different are they in terms of so many things. So the very first point of contrast is the aim. For quantitative research, of course, it's to count things in an attempt to explain what is being observed, or it tries to explain a certain phenomenon using numbers, counting things. While in your qualitative, of course, it's a complete and detailed description of what you have observed. So it's really literally words. You use words in order to establish or prove a certain phenomenon. Okay, another point of comparison or contrast, okay, let's just use contrast, is the purpose. Okay, what is the purpose of quantitative research? The purpose is generalizability, prediction, and causal explanations. Meaning, when we start to generalize, that also implicitly tells us that the number, okay, of participants that we will involve in our research should be, you guessed it right, it should be a lot more than what we had in your qualitative research. So generalizability is more on the representative group of the population. And then prediction and causal explanations. Of course, these two things should be tackled in the next few lessons. And then for qualitative, because you are dealing with a particular group, it doesn't have to be a lot, okay? You're just after the context. And then you interpret the context. And then you understand the perspectives of even one person. That is why qualitative is more focused on the individuality, okay? Whereas quantitative research is nothing like that. We have to generalize. That means we need to have a representative number in the population. Okay? And then the two approaches to research also differ in terms of tools. Tools meaning instruments, okay, or data gathering instruments. Okay, pardon that, somebody's traveling. Okay, quantitative research uses surveys and other tools to collect numerical data, whereas a qualitative research, did you guess that? The qualitative research uses the researcher himself as the data gathering tool. Why? Who is going to actually observe what is happening? Okay, it's actually the researcher. Whereas in quantitative research, of course, the researcher is involved in making or constructing the questionnaire or the survey. Of course, that is a given. But the survey can just run by itself. Yes, it can run by itself. As long as you have the correct and valid questions there, it can already gather data. But in qualitative research, mind you, if you don't observe, if you don't facilitate FGDs or conduct this and that, you won't have data. Okay? So that's the difference. They're also different in terms of data collection because in quantitative research, everything is structured, everything is predetermined. Okay? However, qualitative, as you may have known, is unstructured. It stems from what you can see on the outside or the respondents. While in quantitative research, you have to be ready to have predetermined answers to your questions. Meaning, the survey questionnaire could be suggestive of what you really want to know from the research itself. Another one is the output. What is the output of a quantitative research? Data is in the form of numbers and statistics. That should be a giveaway. While qualitative research uses data in the form of words, pictures, or objects. That's one major difference right there. And then in terms of analysis, quantitative, of course, uses statistics, while qualitative is more on interpretive, words that explain certain phenomenon. Okay, that's how you analyze using quantitative stats. So please refresh your memory on regression, chi-square. We'll talk about them later. Okay, next one. They're also very, very much different in terms of what is happening. Okay, in terms of objectivity. Objectivity, quantitative research is very much objective because it seeks precise measurement and analysis. Meanwhile, qualitative research is very subjective because it deals with the individual's interpretations of events. The individuals on the part of the respondents and the individual on the part of the researcher. Another one is, do we have another one? Quantitative research actually uses a large number of cases representing the population of interest. Going back, we have to get at least the 75% of the total population in order for it to become generalizable. Remember that? Remember that term from earlier? Meanwhile, qualitative research uses a small amount of non-representative cases, meaning you could actually study in qualitative research one person that may not be the representative of all cases. But this year or this semester, we will deal with a large number of samples from a population, and we will make sure that the analysis and even the findings of our research will be generalizable or applicable to all. Let's achieve that one, okay? So that is your very short transition to the world of numerical data. And so, we will be tackling more about the characteristics of this quantitative research that we will be dealing with this term, okay? So, quantitative research is more on the generalizability, okay, as we have discussed earlier. So it generalizes results from a sample of the population of interest. And mind you, the sample should be 75%, okay, of the 100%, that big. And then another one is it asks questions such as how long, how many, or the degree to which. Meaning, this really deals with a lot of numbers, okay, a lot of numbers. And then another one, of course, is that it deals with data in the form of numbers and uses mathematical operations to investigate their properties. Okay, I have to be very dramatic when I talk about mathematics. Okay. And then another one is these are the characteristics of quantitative research. First one, specific, well-structured, valid, reliable, and explicitly defined. There's a label in quantitative research. We like labels here. Another one is rigid, fixed, predetermined, and accurate. Those are good qualities, okay? Another one is has clear distinction between designs and methods of data collection. Now, for quantitative research, our research designs may are not equivalent to research instruments. Okay, in qualitative research, back then, your research design is already your research tool or instrument. For example, your research design for qualitative research is, let's say, social survey. Then the design is social survey, and then your instrument is already social survey. If your research design is interview is your research tool. But in quantitative research, it's not going to be that way. Exciting. And then another one, I have to make mention of this one. Quantitative research doesn't need respondent concordance. When we speak of respondent concordance, once you have gathered all the necessary data, you have to go back to your respondents to ask them, is this interpretation your interpretation? Did I interpret your answers correctly? That is respondent concordance, which should be done always in qualitative research. Did you do that? Okay. But in quantitative research, because we are dealing with numbers, then they do not have anything to say if the weighted mean becomes like this, because they are part of a general group. You don't have to ask them if your weighted mean is correct. Okay? There's no respondent concordance in quantitative research. And then, of course, the very favorite, quantitative research may be replicated. The term is replicated and not duplicated. Those are two different things. So that is our very short lesson on the introduction to quantitative research. That is lesson 1, into the world of quantitative data. Welcome.